After a week absence, sounds like this mic is on, like too strong. We had a nice open week last week. Got a good time just for the players to get fresh, get in the weight room, just kind of get their body back together. Opportunity for our coaches to really evaluate what we're doing, well, what we need work on, where do we make improvements that I won't really get into. You guys probably know for me. All weaknesses, but just things that we need to improve on in the open week. You got a little extra time to prepare for a really good Duke football team that's going to come in here at Saturday 3:30, and they had a tough loss this past weekend at home against Virginia, who's another good football team in the Coastal Division, which every year is a battle. But that'll open up for questions.
I'm just sort of curious where the genesis of that play came from.
The changing of numbers. With just getting a similar number so they don't, if we ran Kenny Pickett out there, I think they would know maybe it's a fake. So it was, a similar number that, most people don't check that. We thought we had a good play. We didn't execute like we need to. And, obviously we did a poor job as coaches making sure we got it done the right way. So it goes on us.
Where did the thought come from? Because I personally hadn't seen it. I don't know if you would come across it before in your career and thought, hey, maybe that's had filed it away as something to maybe try.
Well, it's very similar to what we did against Syracuse to win the game up in Syracuse a couple years ago. I don't know what year that was, 2015. So very similar play that was executed properly. And, sometimes when you see it, you saw it Saturday where there was some, you take chances. And, it would have been nice to get a first down there and keep it, keep the sticks moving. The part that really disappoints you is, it was a run pass option. He should have just punted the ball down the field. And, whatever. Again, that's on our fault. That's our fault as coaches. We didn't coach that good enough. If he's not doing it, it's because we didn't make him do it. So, but it should have been a punt anyway, based on nothing was open, punt it. Well, I think, what makes him, maybe a top 10 pick and all those things is he's 6'5". He's got Dave Cutcliffe as his quarterback coach. He's got a gun arm, and he can also move in the pocket, so he's elusive. He's not as elusive as some guys, that we face this year, but he's got the ability to make you miss in the pocket. But he's a big pro-style quarterback, and there's not a lot of them out there nowadays. There's a lot of 6'2" guys that can run and throw, and but the NFL likes those guys that are 6'5". So I think he's a pro-type quarterback, and with the quarterbacks that Coach Cutcliffe has mentored through the years, I think people trust his word and the coaching he's getting there, and he's a dang good quarterback.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think it is. That's kind of what you want to do is take one game at a time in the ACC, and we got 5 to go. There's a lot to look forward to. We just we can't look too far ahead. The standings mean nothing. It's just the only thing that matters is what we do this weekend against Duke, because after a week, if you don't get your job done, really standings don't mean as much. So, all the focus is on Duke and what we can do to beat them, on Saturday. But, it is a positive if you look at it and say, okay, doesn't matter what happened to Notre Dame or what happened to UCF, you still have your goals in front of you, and I don't think anybody's blind to that. He can also scramble and throw it as well. He'll scramble for a first, even, he's only out 2 weeks with a broken collarbone, so he's a tough guy. It's a drop-back guy that can rifle the ball in, so we have to be good at disguising coverages and getting reroutes on people. And again, he's going to throw RPOs as well, so he does a little bit of everything as far as getting guys the ball, so he can deliver it in a bunch of different ways. That's how the game of football is. That's a game of life. It's a game of life for everybody in this room, really. One week you're the hero, and and you can't do anything wrong. And the next week, things just don't go your way. That's every week someone wins and somebody loses. My mom always reminds me of that. Like, hey, half the teams win and half lose every week. It's like, wow, you're right. But someone's going to miss a field goal, someone's going to make one, and I think he'll respond. But we'll find out Saturday. That's when when you're going to really find out. If he puts the first one up through, just one of those days. Maybe again he didn't handle success very well. I don't know. Everybody patting him on the back from the week before hurt him. Those are only things that he knows inside, what happened. But I think he's a tough kid, and I trust he will, he'll respond the right way, the way we want him to respond.
Do kind of control your own destiny in this thing in a way?
Well, I don't think I have to emphasize. I think, they all have cell phones and they look at the standings, I'm sure, besides other things on Twitter and the internet. But, they understand where they are. I don't have to emphasize it. I think they They understand it's one at a time, and we can't look, oh, the 3 next guys are here. It doesn't matter. I mean, the only one that matters is Duke, and then the games get bigger if you win them. If you don't win them, they get smaller. So we got to make them bigger.
It's amazing.
Well, I think when you look at the other division, I mean, you got Clemson there, and they've been the big daddy, of the Atlantic Division. And the Coastal's got a lot of great football teams, but again, anybody can win any week. And I think that's the difference there. I think there's not one team in the Coastal's going to defend another one and say, oh, that's an easy win, But there's a dominant team over on the other side of the division. And then in our division, it's a lot of great football teams that, either going to win by 3 or lose by 3. It's going to come down to the wire. And I think every one of these games the rest of the way is going to come down to the wire. It's going to be a 4-quarter focused football game. And you got to finish it, and you got to be disciplined to get that done. Well, that happens all the time. I mean, other teams have buys, so I can't tell you. I know it happened early in the year where somebody had an open week prior to us. I don't know who it was. EJ could probably.
UNC had Carolina.
Yeah, UNC had the Hurricane had an open week. The advantages. So you get healthy. I don't know if it matters.
Is it an advantage for you?
If we win, I'll say yes. If you lose, it was a disadvantage. I mean. You don't know. It's hard to say.
Coach, you don't think about that past time.
You like to guess on these things, and I wish I could tell you there's a stat, but I can't. I don't think there's a stat. Sometimes people feel like you have an open week where you lose your rhythm, and you're back to the first game of the season. I think it's just another game, and I try not to look at it as anything different than a chance to get fresh, evaluate what you're doing, start to lock into your fundamentals a little bit more because you have a little bit more time to do that, and then this week we'll lock into game plan.